Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, the best-selling book by Betty Edwards, has a secret that I discovered as I worked my way through it. But before I get to that secret, I'd like to talk a bit about the structure and the content of the book. And when I say book, there really are two books that I'm talking about. There's a lesson book that has 12 chapters, but there's also a separate workbook that you can buy separately, and that book has 5 parts. This workbook has 40 exercises in it and also has a picture plane included. And the picture plane is an important tool that you use as you're learning how to draw with this course. I have a separate video on how to make a picture plane, so if you're interested in that, there'll be a link. Now, if you just have the lesson book, it does have some exercises in each chapter, but the workbook has a lot more exercises. Some of the exercises that are in the workbook show up in the lesson book as well, but most don't. So it really works better if you complete one chapter of the lesson book and then move to the exercises in the workbook to try and apply those lessons. Now, the exercise book focuses on 5 perceptual skills, and it gives you a lot of practice in those. But every chapter that's covered in the lesson book has exercises in the workbook to help drive those points home. The lesson book starts with the overall concept of why we stop drawing at a certain point in our childhoods and how the left side of the brain dominates in our daily thinking and it impedes our ability to draw accurately. After going over some of these overall concepts of drawing and how to get ourselves out of whatever blocks keep us from drawing well in the first place, the book moves on to specific skills. There are 5 of these perceptual skills that are important to master if you want to be able to draw things accurately, draw them the way that you see them. The first skill is perceiving edges. The second skill is perceiving spaces. The third is perceiving relationships. The fourth is perceiving lights and shadows. And the fifth is perceiving the gestalt, or the overall sense of a composition. Now, after these concepts are covered in depth, the final chapters just talk about the broader uses for these perceptual skills and how you can use them for other problems in your life. Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain does a great job of walking a beginner through the initial steps of learning how to draw more competently. It does a good job of that, but it's more than just an art instruction book, and it's more than just a program for teaching you how to draw. The secret of Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain is that I think it's really a self-help book. If you study the book and you go through all of the lessons, you not only gain the beginnings of a new skill, you hone your ability to see and to think in a different way. You also hone your ability to practice deliberately and to hold yourself to an objective standard of performance. The book teaches you a new skill that you can use in many parts of your life, but it also teaches you how to go about acquiring a new skill. How do you instill the discipline in yourself so that you can learn something new and test whether you're actually getting better at it? When you do these exercises, you're usually drawing from real life. And once you're finished with your drawing, you can compare it to real life, or you can compare it to the model that you're trying to duplicate, and you get clear feedback on whether you're making progress or not. And this is a way that you can structure deliberate practice in other areas of your life and get better at lots of things. So it teaches you, but it also teaches you how to teach yourself other things. It's a self-help book. Now, there are a lot of self-help books out there on the market, and the big question here for anybody that's thinking about trying this book and this program is whether it's worth the money. I paid $42.35 for the 2 books. I didn't get any sort of discounts. I just bought them at my local bookstore. And I would say I have gotten at least $42 worth of instruction. I've gotten well over 40 hours of engagement and learning out of these books, so that works out to about $1 an hour at least. So I would say it's definitely worth it, and it's certainly one of the cheapest methods out there to learn how to draw. Having gone through all of the exercises and all of the steps of this book, I have a few tips that I would suggest for anybody that's looking to try out this book and this program for learning how to draw. 4 basic tips. First, don't wait too long between exercises. Each chapter builds on the one before it, and so when you've finished a chapter and all of the exercises that go along with that chapter, move on to the next one quickly so that you don't forget the things that you learned in the preceding exercises. It will help you maintain your momentum and your progress, and it will help you progress more quickly. I made the mistake of waiting too long between exercises, and I felt like there was a lot of backsliding as I had delays between one chapter and another. So try to avoid that. Don't wait too long between exercises. My second tip is to not be too precious or too picky about how and when you draw and do these exercises. Don't wait for just the right environment or just the right time. The more important thing is to put in the time, and even if your circumstances aren't ideal, that will help you to just convince yourself that you're able to draw under many circumstances and not everything has to be absolutely perfect for you to make progress. So just do it, even if the time isn't exactly perfect or there could be a better setup for you. That'll come as you devote more time and attention to this. So don't be too picky about how and when you draw and do the exercises. My third tip is don't be too self-conscious about your results. Just evaluate them honestly. Now, I've got videos going through all of the exercises and going through the book chapter by chapter. You'll see as I do them, the exercise results are not that impressive. You'll see that I am not an expert by any means, and as I'm doing the results, they're not going to blow anybody away. But I'm just doing them and trying not to be too self-conscious about it and just putting them out there and then looking at where I have failed and where I could do better. And I think that's a good approach to take. Don't try to come up with a masterpiece the first time you're trying these things. You're learning, and it's okay if it's not perfect. My final tip is to not worry about creativity right now. Just focus on the discipline and building basic skills, and creativity will come later. Once you've built up that foundation of basic skills and competence, you'll start seeing ways that you can play with the rules and the forms to become creative. Don't worry about developing your distinctive style or anything right now. As the book says, your style will sort of reveal itself as you get more time under your belt with the practicing. So, fourth tip is just don't worry about creativity and focus on learning the discipline. If you're interested in seeing more in-depth exploration of each chapter, I've got videos for each chapter of the book and all the exercises that are covered by the exercise workbook. So if you want to take a look at those, there'll be a link for those. If you have thoughts you want to share, I'd love to see those in the comments. Thank you and take care.